It's strange how fear doesn't always arrive with noise. Sometimes it begins with silence. The kind of silence that feels wrong. I never liked staying at my uncle's farmhouse. Not because of anything specific, but because of how it made me feel. It sat alone miles away from the nearest town. No streetlights, no neighbors, just long stretches of empty land and a dirt road that seemed to disappear into nothing. During the day it looked peaceful, quiet, almost beautiful. But at night, it felt like the entire world had stepped back and left you behind. That weekend, I didn't really have a choice. My parents had to travel out of the city unexpectedly, and my uncle offered to let me stay at his place. He wasn't even going to be there the whole time. He had some overnight work in another town. "It's just one night," he told me. "Lock the doors, you'll be fine." I believed him. At least I tried to. By the time evening settled in, the sky had already turned into that deep, endless black you only see far away from cities. No light pollution, no noise. Just darkness. I remember sitting in the living room, scrolling through my phone, noticing how the signal kept dropping in and out. That's when the power flickered. Just once. Then again. Then everything went still. The light stayed on, but something about the house felt off. Too quiet. Like the silence had gotten heavier. I stood up and walked to the kitchen, grabbing a bottle of water. As I passed the window above the sink, I caught a glimpse of something outside. Movement. Just for a second. I froze. Slowly, I leaned closer to the glass. There was nothing there. Just the faint outline of the barn in the distance, and the empty yard stretching beyond it. I let out a breath I didn't realize I was holding. Probably just an animal, I whispered to myself. Out here, that was normal. Still, I checked the locks. Front door, back door, windows. Everything was secure. By the time I went to bed, it was already past midnight. I chose the guest room upstairs, the one facing the front yard. From the window, you could see the entire driveway leading up to the house. I don't know why, but that made me feel safer. Like I could see anything coming. I lay there for a while, staring at the ceiling. Listening. Nothing. Then, a sound. Faint. Distant. At first, I thought it was the wind. But there was no wind. It came again. A low, dragging noise. Like something being pulled across the ground. I sat up slowly, my heart already starting to beat faster. The sound was coming from outside. From the front of the house. I got out of bed and walked toward the window. Each step felt heavier than the last. I didn't want to look. But I had to. Carefully, I pulled the curtain aside, just a little, and looked down. At first, I didn't see anything. Then, movement. At the edge of the driveway, just where the darkness swallowed everything beyond. There was something there. A figure, standing completely still. Too far to make out clearly, but close enough to know it wasn't supposed to be there. My chest tightened. Who would be out here? At this hour? I squinted, trying to get a better look. That's when the figure moved. Not toward the house. Not away from it. But sideways. Slowly, stepping into the faint light spilling from the porch. And that's when I saw it. It was a person. A man. Tall, thin, completely still again. But something was wrong. He wasn't looking at the house. He was looking at the ground. I frowned, confused. What was he doing? And then, he lifted something. A long, dark object. Dragging it behind him. My stomach dropped. It looked like... No. I told myself, I was imagining things. But then he turned, and for a split second, the porch light hit his face. I wish it hadn't, because I still remember it too clearly. His expression was completely blank. Not angry, not scared, just empty. But his eyes were staring straight at the window. At me. I stumbled back, nearly falling over. My heart was pounding so hard it felt like it might burst. He saw me. There was no doubt about it. I stood there frozen, trying to process what I had just seen. What was he doing out there? What was he dragging? Why was he just standing there? And then, a new sound. A knock. Soft. Slow. From downstairs. My entire body went cold. No. No, no, no. He couldn't have reached the house that fast. That wasn't possible. Another knock. This time louder. I backed away from the door, shaking. Every instinct in my body was screaming at me to hide, to stay quiet. But the knocking didn't stop. It kept going. Steady, patient, like whoever was on the other side knew I was there. "Hello," a voice called out. My breath caught. It was calm. Too calm. "Hey, I just need some help." I didn't move. Didn't speak. "I saw your lights on," the voice continued. "My car broke down. I just need to use a phone." I swallowed hard. It sounded normal. That was the worst part, because nothing about this felt normal. The knocking stopped. Silence filled the house again. For a moment, I thought maybe he had left. And then, a loud bang echoed from the side of the house. I flinched. Another bang. This time closer. He wasn't at the front door anymore. He was moving around the house, testing it, looking for a way in. I ran to my room, locking the door behind me, my hands trembling so badly I could barely grip the handle. My phone. No signal. Of course. I backed into the corner of the room, trying to stay as quiet as possible. Outside, the sounds continued. Footsteps. Slow. Deliberate. Then, silence again. Minutes passed. Or maybe longer. I couldn't tell. And then, something appeared at the window. A shadow, standing right outside. Too close. I couldn't breathe. And then, a soft tap. On the glass. I closed my eyes, hopping, praying that when I opened them, it would be gone. But deep down, I already knew it wouldn't be. I didn't want to open my eyes, because as long as they stayed shut, there was still a chance, however small, that none of it was real. That it was just my imagination, fueled by isolation, by darkness, by fear. But the tapping didn't stop. Soft, slow, intentional. Tap, 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 right against the glass. My chest tightened as I forced my eyes open. And instantly, I wished I hadn't. He was there, closer than before. So close that I could see the outline of his face through the faint reflection on the window. But something was wrong. He wasn't looking directly inside. His head was tilted slightly downward, as if he was listening. Listening for me. I froze. Every muscle in my body locked in place. Even breathing felt dangerous. The room was completely dark, except for the faint glow of my phone screen lying face down on the bed. I didn't dare move to grab it. Didn't dare make a sound. The tapping stopped. Silence again. Seconds passed, or minutes. Time didn't make sense anymore. Then slowly, very slowly, his head lifted, and this time, he looked straight inside, directly at me. I don't know how he could see me in the dark, but somehow, I knew he could. His expression hadn't changed. Still empty, still emotionless. And then, he smiled. Not a normal smile. Not friendly. Not even threatening in an obvious way. It was wrong. Like someone mimicking what a smile is supposed to look like, without understanding it. My throat went dry. And then, he raised his hand, and gently pressed his palm against the glass. I couldn't take it anymore. I stumbled backward, hitting the wall behind me. My breath came out in short, shaky bursts. "Go away," I whispered, though I knew he couldn't hear me. Or maybe I was afraid he could. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, a loud thud shook the window. I flinched hard, nearly screaming. Another thud. This time stronger. He was hitting the glass now. Testing it. Seeing if it would break. "No," I muttered, panic rising fast. I looked around the room desperately. There was nothing. No weapon, no way out. The door. I rushed to it and locked it again, even though it was already locked. As if that would somehow help. Behind me, the pounding stopped. Suddenly, the silence that followed was even worse. Because now, I didn't know where he was. Was he still there? Watching? Waiting? Or had he moved? My mind raced through possibilities. None of them good. Then, a sound from downstairs. A door. Opening. My blood ran cold. No, no, no. I hadn't unlocked anything. I was sure of it. I checked everything. Unless something hadn't been locked. Or worse, he had found a way in. The floorboards below creaked. Slow, heavy footsteps echoed through the house. He was inside. Every instinct screamed at me to run. But run where? This was the second floor. There was no escape. The footsteps moved through the house. Unhurried. Almost casual. Like he belonged there. Like he had all the time in the world. I backed into the far corner of the room, grabbing the only thing within reach. A small bedside lamp. It wasn't much, but it was something. The footsteps reached the stairs. And stopped. Silence again. I held my breath. Then, the first step creaked. He was coming up. Each step felt louder than the last. Deliberate. Measured. He wasn't rushing. He knew I couldn't go anywhere. Tears welled up in my eyes, but I forced myself to stay focused. Think. The window. It was the only option. I turned and rushed toward it, my hands shaking as I fumbled with the latch. Behind me. Another step. Closer now. The door handle rattled. Once. Twice. Then stopped. "Hey," his voice came from the other side. Calm. Almost gentle. "You don't have to be scared." I froze. "You shouldn't ignore people when they ask for help," he continued. My hands trembled harder. Something about the way he spoke. It wasn't angry. It wasn't aggressive. It was patient. That was worse. The handle turned again. Slowly. Testing. The door held. For now, I finally got the window open. Cold air rushed in, biting against my skin. It was a long drop. Too long, but staying here wasn't an option. Behind me, a loud crack echoed through the room. The door frame splintered. He was forcing it open. My heart slammed against my ribs. I climbed onto the window frame, looking down into the darkness below. No lights, no clear landing, just shadows. Another crack. The door was giving in. I didn't have time. I closed my eyes and jumped. For a moment, everything went silent. Then, pain exploded through my leg as I hit the ground. I rolled hard, gasping for air. But I didn't stop. I couldn't. Adrenaline took over as I forced myself up, ignoring the pain, and ran. Across the yard, toward the dirt road. Behind me, a shout. Loud. Angry now. Hey! I didn't look back. I just ran. Branches scratched against my arms as I pushed forward into the darkness. My lungs burned. My vision blurred. But I kept going. Because I knew. If I stopped, that would be it. I don't remember how long I ran. Minutes, maybe longer. All I know is eventually, I saw headlights. A car coming down the road. I stumbled toward it, waving my arms desperately. The car slowed, then stopped. A man stepped out looking confused, concerned. What happened? He asked. I tried to speak, but the words wouldn't come out. I just pointed back toward the house. He followed my gaze, then looked back at me. And that's when his expression changed. Subtly, but enough. Did you say the farmhouse up there? He asked. I nodded. There was a pause. Then he said something that made my stomach drop. That place has been empty for weeks. My heart stopped. What? I managed to whisper. No one's supposed to be staying there, he said. I felt the world tilt around me. That wasn't possible. My uncle. He. The man looked back toward the dark road again. Longer this time. Then quietly, he added, You're not the first person to run from that house. Some people will tell you that danger looks obvious, that you'll feel it instantly, that your instincts will scream at you. But the truth is, the most dangerous situations often feel normal at first. That's how it starts. Not with fear, but with comfort. And that's exactly what made this story so much worse. It happened during my second year at university. Not long after I had gone through a rough breakup. You know, the kind that leaves you checking your phone every 5 minutes, even when you know there's nothing there. I wasn't sleeping well, wasn't eating properly, and most nights I just needed a distraction. So eventually, I did what most people do. I downloaded a dating app. At first it was harmless. Mindless scrolling, small conversation, nothing serious. Until I matched with her. Her name was Lena. Her profile was simple, no over-the-top photos, no forced captions. Just normal. And maybe that's why it worked. We started talking that same night. And within minutes, it felt easy. Too easy. Same taste in movies. Same sense of humor. Even the same weird habit of staying up way too late for no reason. It felt familiar. Safe. That should have been my first warning. Because real connections don't usually happen that fast. But I ignored it. For the next few days, we talked constantly. Morning texts, late-night conversations, voice notes, even calls. Her voice was soft, calm, comforting. If anything, she sounded more real than most people I'd met online. Eventually, she suggested we meet. Nothing fancy, just a short drive, a late-night coffee spot just outside the city. I hesitated at first, not because I didn't want to go, but because something about the timing felt off. "Why so late?" I asked. "It's quieter," she replied. "I don't like crowded places." That made sense. At least, I told myself it did. So we planned it. She would pick me up. That part, I should have questioned more. But I didn't. That night, I waited outside my dorm building. The campus was unusually quiet. Most people were either asleep or out somewhere else. The streetlights flickered slightly overhead, casting long shadows across the pavement. I checked my phone. No new messages. Then, a car turned the corner. Slowly, its headlights washed over me, forcing me to squint. It pulled up right in front of me. I stepped closer, expecting to see her. But instead, the window rolled down, and a man was sitting inside. Older, maybe late 50s. He looked at me, smiled slightly. "You waiting for Lena?" he asked. My stomach dropped. "Yeah," I said cautiously. He nodded. "She asked me to pick you up." Everything in me paused. That wasn't what we agreed on. "I thought she was coming herself," I said. "She's not feeling well," he replied quickly. "I'm her uncle, she didn't want to cancel." His tone was smooth. Practiced. Too smooth. I took a small step back. "Why didn't she tell me that?" I asked. He shrugged. "Probably forgot. She's been a bit out of it tonight." Something wasn't right. I could feel it now. That quiet, creeping discomfort settling in. But it wasn't loud enough. "Not yet." "Just hop in," he said, gesturing to the passenger seat. I didn't move. Instead, I pulled out my phone. "I'll just call her real quick," I said. For a split second, his expression changed. Barely noticeable. But it was there. A flicker. Then he smiled again. "No need," he said quickly. "She's expecting you." That was it. That was the moment. The moment where everything shifted. Because suddenly, it didn't feel normal anymore. It felt staged. "I think I'll just meet her another time," I said, taking another step back. The man's smile faded. Just slightly. "You sure?" he asked. His voice was still calm, but there was something underneath it now. Something colder. "Yeah," I said, "I'm good." For a second, neither of us moved. Then, he leaned slightly closer to the window and said quietly, "She's not going to like that." A chill ran down my spine. I turned and started walking back toward campus. At first, nothing happened. No shouting. No engine revving. Just silence. And for a moment, I thought maybe that was it. Maybe I had overreacted. Maybe it really was just a misunderstanding. Then, I heard it. The slow roll of tires behind me. I didn't turn around. I didn't need to. I already knew. The car was following me. I didn't turn around. Because sometimes, acknowledging something makes it real. And I wasn't ready for that yet. The sound of the car stayed behind me. Slow. Controlled. Not speeding up. Not falling back. Just matching me. That was worse. Because it meant he wasn't reacting. He wasn't chasing. He was waiting. I shoved my hands into my hoodie pocket, trying to look normal. trying to act like I didn't notice. But my heart had already started racing. Campus was only a few blocks away. If I could just make it there. Lights, people, safety. That's all I needed. The tires rolled again. Closer this time. I could almost feel the presence of the car beside me now. Like a shadow that refused to leave. Then, the engine cut off. Silence. My stomach dropped. That was new. That meant he had stopped. I kept walking. Faster now. Footsteps. Behind me. Not rushed. Not loud. Just there. He was out of the car. I swallowed hard, forcing myself not to look back. "Hey," his voice called out. Closer than before. "You dropped something." I kept walking. I said, "You dropped something." His tone sharpened slightly. Still calm, but more insistent. Every instinct in my body screamed one thing. Run. But I didn't. Not yet. Running too early can make things worse. So I kept walking. Steady. Controlled. Until I reached the corner. And turned. The second I was out of his direct line. I ran. Full speed. My footsteps pounded against the pavement as adrenaline took over. Behind me. A shout. "Hey." Then, running. He was chasing me now. I didn't look back. Didn't slow down. I cut through a side street, then another. Trying to lose him. Trying to create distance. My lungs burned. My legs screamed. But fear pushed me forward. Then, a mistake. I turned into a narrow alley. Dead end. The second I realized. I stopped. Too late. Footsteps entered behind me. Slow. Echoing off the walls. I turned. He was there. Standing at the entrance. Blocking the only way out. No smile this time. Just that same empty expression. "You shouldn't have run," he said. His voice echoed slightly in the tight space. I backed up slowly. "There's nowhere to go," he added. My mind raced. Looking for anything. Anything at all. A weapon. A way out. Nothing. Just walls. And him. He stepped forward. One step. Then another. Unhurried. Confident. Like he had done this before. "Lena isn't real," he said suddenly. I froze. "What?" I managed to say. "She never was," he replied. Each word landed like a weight. Just a name, just a voice, just enough to make you trust it. My chest tightened. "How many people?" I asked without thinking. He tilted his head slightly. "Enough." Another step forward. I could see him more clearly now. Every detail. Every line on his face. And yet, there was nothing there. No emotion. No hesitation. Just intent. Then, a sound. Distant. Faint. Sirens. Both of us paused. For the first time, his expression changed. Not fear, but irritation. Like something had interrupted him. The sirens grew louder. Closer. I hadn't called anyone. So who? And then I remembered. My phone. Still in my pocket. Still sharing my location. With Lena. Or whoever had been behind that account. But maybe something had triggered. A report. A system alert. Or maybe I had just gotten lucky. The man exhaled slowly. then stepped back. One step, then another, never taking his eyes off me. "Next time," he said quietly, "don't ignore the ride." And then he turned and walked away, just like that. No rush, no panic. Like disappearing was part of the plan. I stood there for a few seconds, frozen. Then my legs gave out. I collapsed against the wall, gasping for air. The sirens grew louder. And this time, they didn't pass. They stopped, right outside the alley. Flashing lights filled the entrance. Voices, footsteps. "Hey, are you okay?" I couldn't answer. Not right away. Because my mind was still stuck on one thing. One terrifying realization. He wasn't surprised. Not really. Which meant this wasn't the first time something like this had happened. And it probably wouldn't be the last. There's something deeply unsettling about empty buildings. Not because they're quiet, but because they're too quiet. The kind of silence that doesn't feel natural. The kind that makes every small sound feel amplified. Every step, every breath, every movement heard. That's exactly what it felt like working night shift at the old office complex. It wasn't abandoned. Not officially. But after a certain hour, it might as well have been. I had taken the job during a break semester. A temporary position. Night maintenance. Easy money, they said. Simple tasks, minimal supervision. And they were right. At least at the beginning. The building was massive. 5 floors. Long hallways. Dozens of offices. During the day, it was filled with people. Noise, movement, energy. But at night, nothing. Just dim emergency lights, casting long shadows across empty corridors. My shift started late. Usually when the last of the employees were heading out. I'd nod at a few of them, exchange small talk, and then the building would slowly empty, one by one, until it was just me. And the silence. At first, I didn't mind it. Actually, I enjoyed it. No distractions. No pressure. I'd finish my work early, then sit in one of the offices, scrolling through my phone, passing time. But after a few nights, something started to feel off. It began with small things. Lights that I knew I had turned off. Turning back on. Doors I had closed. Slightly open again. At first, I brushed it off. Old building. Faulty wiring. Air pressure. Logical explanations. That's what we tell ourselves when we don't want to believe something else. Then came the sounds. Footsteps. Faint. Always distant. Always just out of sight. I told myself it was the building settling. Pipes, vents, structure. But deep down, I knew what footsteps sounded like. And these were footsteps. One night, I decided to check. I had just finished cleaning the 3rd floor. Everything was done. Or at least, it should have been. As I walked toward the stairwell, I heard it again. A step from the hallway behind me. I stopped. Silence. Then, another step. Slow. Measured. I turned around. The hallway was empty. Long. Dark. Still. I stood there for a few seconds. Listening. Waiting. Nothing. I exhaled slowly. "Just your head," I muttered, and turned back toward the stairs. Then, right behind me, a step. Loud. Close. I spun around. Nothing. But this time, it felt different. Because it wasn't just the sound. It was the timing. Like whatever it was had waited for me to turn. I didn't check again after that. I went straight downstairs. Faster than usual. That night, I didn't stay longer than I had to. And for the first time, I felt relieved to leave. But the next night, I came back. Because that's what we do. We ignore fear. Until it forces us not to. Everything was normal again. Too normal. No sounds. No movement. Almost like whatever had happened was waiting. Then came the cameras. Or more specifically, the lack of them. One of my supervisors mentioned casually. Cameras on the 4th floor are down again. Again, I asked. Yeah, he said, happens sometimes, old system. I didn't think much of it. At least, not at the time. Until my shift took me there. 4th floor. I hadn't spent much time up there before. Fewer offices. Less traffic. And now, no cameras. The lights were dimmer. The air felt heavier. I started my routine. Trash floors, basic checks. Everything normal. Until I reached the last hallway. That's when I saw it. At the far end. A door. Slightly open. That wasn't unusual. But what was unusual was what I saw inside. Darkness. Complete darkness. Every other office had at least some light. From the hallway. From outside. But this one looked like it swallowed light. I stepped closer. Slowly. Hello, I called out. No response. I pushed the door open a little more. The darkness inside didn't move. Didn't shift. It just stayed. Like it was deeper than it should be. Then, a sound. From inside the room. Breathing. Soft. Slow. My entire body went rigid. Someone was in there. Standing. In the dark. I took a step back. Security, I called out, my voice barely steady. The breathing stopped. Instantly. And then, a voice. From inside. Quiet. Calm. You're not supposed to be here this late. My blood ran cold. That didn't make sense. This was asterisk my shift. I work here, I said. Silence. Then, a single step. From inside the darkness. Closer. I couldn't see anything. Just black. And then, something moved. Not a person. Not fully. Just a shape. Shifting inside the dark. Like it wasn't stepping into the light, but avoiding it. My heart started pounding. Who's in there? I asked. No answer. Another step. Closer. Then, the lights flickered. Once, twice, and for a split second. The room lit up. Just enough for me to see it. Not clearly, but enough. A figure, standing at an angle that didn't look natural. Too still. Too wrong. And its face. I didn't see the details, but I saw enough to know. It wasn't right. The lights went out again. Darkness swallowed the room. And this time, the footsteps came fast. Running. Toward me. I didn't wait. I turned and ran. Down the hallway. Through the stairs. Out of the building. I didn't stop. Didn't look back. Didn't think. I just ran. The next day, I didn't go back. I quit. No notice. No explanation. And a week later, I found out something. Something that still doesn't sit right with me. That office, the one with the dark room, had been empty for years. No electricity. No assigned staff. And according to the building records, that room didn't even exist on the floor plan anymore. Because sometimes, the scariest things aren't the ones that chase you. They're the ones that wait. In places that shouldn't even be there.